Good evening. My name is Deimantas, and I'm going to talk about code maintainability. I'm corporate entrepreneur in June. It means one product we are producing here in bank. And actually under this fancy name, title, I'm just software engineer with more than 20 years experience in the IT industry. Half of those years I'm spent with the .NET world, but I'm still in love with C#, I mean C++ and embedded systems. So maybe sometime I'll come back to this. And yeah, so summary or agenda, I guess, would be that first of all, I'd like to introduce our team, what we are. Then try to explain why maintainable code is very important for us. I believe that it is important for everybody, but why it is especially for us important. Then, of course, what challenges we face and how we tackle those. So let's start. First of all, I would like to talk about our culture. And here we have a kind of startup-like culture, and because it is one of the moonshots in the bank, and our goal, our challenge was kind of make more agile bank product or projects, how to say. So we're trying to use more agile things, and agile things, I mean not only in the IT development thing, area, because if you need to succeed in the agile, you need to make that agile in the whole vertical bar from the top of the management, or at least from the product owner, right? So yeah, and of course we are kind of in the area of solid corporate background. So as our former lead always like to say that we are using two worlds, like agile plus corporate solid processes. So we're trying to get the most positive parts from there. And we're trying to keep our structure quite plain. And actually, all of us have those titles, corporate entrepreneurs, except our lead. It's just lead or head of product. And actually, I would like to show how the corporate entrepreneurs looks like. It's like this. So, of course, I'm joking that it's a special day. We have one day in the years with the seats, because we are telling, OK, guys, we're working in bank, actually, so let's look like bank workers, right? Anyway, OK, so let's go to the point why we need that maintainable code, especially we, right? So as I said, we kind of startup style or startup-like team, and that's all startups starts with some kind of many ideas, and after some period of time, we have like direction where the business want to head. And that period calls growth phase. And here, actually, we are facing some problems from other code, like our product is not POC anymore, right? We still need to provide MVP product, but our code base is already very large, so we have a lot of requirements coming in, and we are cross-border team. And the cross-border team means that we kind of have challenges with communication between, right? We're not sitting here in the one place. And more maintainable code we have, more easily we can introduce new changes in that. So yes, maintainable code is crucial for us as cross-border teams. And I would like to start about maintainable. What is the features of maintainable code? I guess it's not for me. Thank you. So first of all, I would say that everybody of us, at least developers, know those features. But this is my take. Okay. So all those features is like easy, right? So easy to understand, easy to change, and easy to trust. So by the way, do you know these guys? what he is? Come on, guys. I'm a little afraid of you. You're supposed to know that guy. Uncle Bob, thank you very much. Okay, so yeah, I'm taking his ideas, of course, here. And if you have features of our maintainable code, so I guess we can get some, or maybe put down some rules how to achieve this code. And yeah, those rules, again, we all know those rules, right? So let's say our code encapsulated, testable from the beginning, not like in some point of time. Our tests are not a burden. And last but not least, it's like our PC is not the same as local call. It's like kind of from other planet, but yes, it's quite serious thing. So yeah, it's quite obvious for us, but not so easy to achieve somehow, right? We always somehow fail to that. So, and what's the reason of that? And we in our team came in some conclusion about this reason, and it's quite simple to say. It's like inconsistent interpretation of those rules, right? Because every of us understand in different ways. So if you need encapsulated code, so one guy understands from one side and use one tactics, another guy use another tactics. So yeah, we kind of thinking in different directions and pretending that we are thinking about the same subject. So the problem we have, right? So I would say I would share one example of my experience here in Danske Bank. When I first come in one of those teams, I was put straight in the quite mature team, which already like growth phase of the startup product, and they have a plenty of code. And actually, they use the clean architecture approach, right? The same Uncle Bob approach, right? And that's actually a good thing, because you're starting from the start, you're trying to use some good stuff. But, as always, the problem was that this understanding of this clean architecture was from the start somehow wrongly understood, right? So the main issue was that if we have here dependencies through outer layers to inner layers, right? So main problem was that they made as an assumption that dependencies should go through all layers, right? I just show next slide maybe another picture like more onion architecture, right? So here, if this, holy crap, sorry about that, but not that button. So I spoiled my show. Yeah, so if this layer wants to access inner layer, so he can access directly those layers without intermediate layer, right? But assumption was made that no. We need to access, if this brown needs to access this green, so we need to go to that layer. So, and this simple misunderstanding from the beginning, like seed this knowledge, wrong knowledge to whole team, and it end up like we have quite a few microservices, right? We have in one microservices we have a lot of business rules developed there, but in some API calls it's very simple. It just gets some big JSON blob, calls another services, and just put that blob in the database. That's it. So the problem was that we need to go through all those layers, and mostly of the code was mappers between those layers. Map DTO to that DTO, map DTO to that DTO, and you finding. I remember the time when I find myself that I'm doing a very trivial change, like add new field in that incoming data, and it takes 2 days. Because most of the time you're working those mappers and those testers for those mappers, and you feel like, okay, the monkey can do that code, not me. I'm not worth it for that code, right? So, okay, so just I start to propose, guys, we need to change something like that, right? But the team is like looking suspicious to me. Whoa, what you talking about? So we're using layer. So that's okay. It's supposed to be okay. Yeah, that kind of strange that we spent two days to introduce those changes, but it's kind of good, right? So anyway, it ended up that I finally made a quite huge change in that code, and like put my cards like, okay, guys, I already made the changes. I spent the whole weekend for that. Sorry, but already changed the code. Yeah, so finally it ended up, it was merged into our repository. And what happens after that? So after that, I earned the trust and confidence from the team, right? And this is quite a crucial part, especially when we are trying, Lithuanians trying to integrate in the Danish team. They kind of looking at us, oh, okay, let's see what you get, right? So you need to earn that trust, okay? So I somehow accidentally earned that trust. And a consequence of this was, of course, like half code is gone, just gone, half a code. It's a lot of code. And again, it's like 4 times from, if we say 13, if we estimate 13 story points, so now from that moment we estimated similar task like 3 story points. It's like a few hours. That's it. And after that, yeah, of course, nobody have questions. So everybody knows that those small things can change a lot. And this is an example how our database looked like before and after that, right? It's like, yeah, okay, I could watch all day long. Okay, never mind. So back to our problem, okay? So that's inconsistent interpretation, right? So I was lucky to interpret in this right way, this one in those layers in the right way, and those other guys not. But I'm not always right, of course, because I'm just mortal human. So one of the challenges what we need to align or tackle that inconsistent interpretation, of course, we need somehow integrate team that we should talk like we would be locally here, because when we're locally here, we're always like sitting near our colleagues and pinging, hey, look, I have an idea, or we're staying in the coffee machine and say, by the way, I read that book, or I saw that, I don't know, presentation. So we somehow need to initiate that communication integration of those remote teams, right? And we have a couple of challenges again here, right? First thing is, of course, language, because everybody, including Danes, speak in foreign language, English, right? So, but this one you can manage, okay? At least you can learn. At least I'm learning time after time that language, right? The second one, actually, we cross-border team, right? So when it needs to integrate cross-border team, we have quite a lot of challenges. And here, we have some interesting conclusion. Like I said before, that we need maintainable code for the cross-border teams because it's better to code, right? And actually, for the maintainable code, we need cross-border team integrated. So it's somehow like they are bounded between each other, right? So it's like, what? Yeah. It's somehow like egg and chicken problem. But anyway, let's continue. So first of all, the problem that we have many rooms, right? One space, but many rooms. So we are here, they are there, so we need to eliminate this feeling, right? So 24/7 surveillance camera. No, not surveillance. But anyway, video streams, right? For the only one purpose, at least one purpose, presence. Right? Here we see our monitors with the direct TV cameras. Right? Here one colleague is already talking with another side of the team. So in that manner, you just always, when you're sitting near your desk, you see other side in the TV. They see you, and it can change a lot. At least when you're asking, hey guys, please review my pull request, and nobody bothers to do that, you can say, I see you sitting here. So writing in, okay, how about my pull request? Oh, yeah. You're seeing me, right? It feels uncomfortable. Yeah, it's just review your PR. So it changed a lot, right? And yeah, so this trick works quite well, and yeah, it can raise some special issues for some guys which are afraid to be filmed, like they're sticking their cameras on their laptops. But anyway, we use those. Okay, so periodic talk meetings, right? Because it's hard to acquire whole colleagues for half an hour talk when you are remotely, right? It's not so easy like locally. So we just plan those meetings, right? We have weekly meetings, 1 hour meeting to talk about our technical stuff, right? So yeah, we have some kind of board. We have topics. We decide which topic to choose by voting, and then talk about our topic, and then it goes in the topic already discussed, right? So yeah, those quite helpful thing. So, and we came here to the second example. It's a completely opposite from the first, because from the first example was about like we start from the beginning to use layers, blah, 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 that stuff, and we believe that we end up in a good code. Didn't happen. But this is another opposite thing that, okay, we don't need those stinking levels, right? Layers. So let's do like normal hipsters doing, right? So let's keep it simple, put anything we get. And actually, it's good in the first stage of startup, right? Because it is POC. You can provide most valuable product very fast. But as I say, in the growth phase, it stops here. And actually, I am in a team right now, and we are here. We have a bunch of code written in that style. So what we are doing, I can share what we are doing. Right? So at least we have right now a couple of controllers with 2,000 lines. So you can imagine how many lines takes taking the test of this controller. I don't even talk about. Right? So and actually we have a couple of tries, like guys saying, okay, so our controller is so big, let's move our code in a different class, so our controllers will be very small. And nothing changed, because we took that garbage and just put on the cover, right? So no, not gonna work. So anyway, so first of all, what we're doing is trying, of course, to separate our concerns in the code. And again, how we are doing that is very important. First of all, we're trying to design our code from top to bottom, not vice versa, right? And I mean here that if you ask some even more senior developer, okay, how are you going to design the code? He always said like, yeah, I'm just thinking about database structure, then going and looking what we need to return in the API. And when I asked him, did you talk with the front-end guys about that? Why do we need to talk with the front-end guys? So yeah, that's wrong path, because you're doing API for yourself, not for the business, or not for the web page, right? So yeah, we need to go from the top. I mean, start from the business requirements, talk with the front-end guys, how are you doing, even talk with the UX designers. So yeah, that's this way. Trying to, of course, use more commands from CQRS thing, like we have every call from the API is like more separate unit of code. Right? So we are trying to avoid those 2,000 lines of controllers. And actually, we're trying to use more infrastructure for some tedious work. And that tedious work, which can be automated. And I mean this one. All of those things can be automated very much. And actually can clean your code very much. Right? So we're witnessing the code where you just looking at it, and every second or third line, log, 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 log. I'm preparing to doing this, log. I did that. Log, right time I'm going to do that. So those logs are useless completely, right? So most of those things you can just move in the infrastructure, and after that, cleaning your code, you finally can see what the business logic is written here. So yeah. And that's all because of course, technical debt. So how are we dealing with that technical debt, right? So do you have an example of how you're dealing with technical debt in your teams? Someone? We just cover them on the cover, right? And yeah, actually, of course, the first rule is Boy Scout rule. Do you know that? What does this rule means?
Clean after yourself.
More loudly, please.
Clean after yourself.
Not clean, but leave the space more cleaner, what you found it, right? So yeah, it helps a lot. Another thing, actually it's a very nice thing. Actually, we have technical backlog. And actually, in my career, it's a very rare situation when we have technical backlog. It means that business or product owner is saying for you, yeah, guys, understand you have a lot of problems in there in technical thing. Okay, let's put some task in your sprint to not provide the business value. It's kind of creepy for me, but yeah, it's I'm very happy that we have those. So, and those technical debt usually comes from our technical talks, by the way, right? So remember when we have those planning talks, so after that, as a consequence, we have plenty of technical debt stories or tasks in our backlog. So, and our actually real visits here helps a lot, because when you're seeing each other and looking in the eyes and feel the emotions, so you can talk about money stuff which you didn't manage to talk remotely, right? So yeah, this is one of the things what we use a lot, or at least trying to use a lot, because of course it depends of the budget management can allow. But anyway, this here is important thing that should be equality between the sides, right? If we go into Denmark, so next time the Danes come to Vilnius. So not like only we go in there or vice versa, right? So let's feel equal here. Okay, so last example, and quite tricky one and controversial one, where we failing most of the time, right? It's service boundaries. And here I would like to share one insight, what we find out actually 2 weeks ago. And this came to me from other guy named Udi Dahan. I don't know, do you know that guy, Udi Dahan? No, no, because you use his product and service bus, right? Yeah. So the thing how we drawing service boundaries, and actually, yeah, there are many things how we're drawing those boundaries. But one thing I called cognitive biasing, when the biggest problem, the biggest mistake what we're making, when we are just finding out somewhere that, yeah, we need a service here, and we name it the service, right? And if you name it the service, you're already bound to that name, and you cannot think openly about that service. And this habit is very hard to break, actually, right? And different things can trigger understanding for our colleagues. But the concrete example was, right, okay, I just tried to use real names. So we have one service which just need to sign documents when onboarding user, right? And after a couple of after a couple of months, we have a new requirements that we need to sign the documents in another service. So we have service which sign documents internally. So we have another service which need to sign that document. So thinking, okay, we need take this signing part to new service, right? And use from the both service. And actually, the guys start talking about, yeah, we need signing service. Okay, we have some signing service. So problem solved? Not at all. Why? Because the business requirement is not only sign the service, but business requirements is very strict and legally bounded. Every document which user signs, every document which user see and accepts, like terms and agreements, should be put in the bank internals customer folders, right? So we have a problem, right? We need some consistency of that operation. I mean, we need atomicity or treat like transaction, right? So, and if you need a transactional operation, like business transaction, of course, it is better to be in the one service, because it's easy to implement, right? But then, guys half of our team starting to scream, wait, we have signing service here. And this single responsibility is to sign only, not to put in some freaking customer folder. So I'm just challenging those, okay, guys, but why don't we call this service document handling service, which is doing this thing? But this is not document handling service. This is a signing service. Okay, so we have a 4 time to meet each other and debate those. It's a crazy, right? But anyway, finally we find out that yes, find out, but just we start to vote, right? And actually, at the end, the proposal with document handling service win. And win, that's because somehow I managed to, like, not convince, but make and understand those people that we have some easy rules to apply to draw those service boundaries. First of all, it's a business transaction. We're not splitting services by some technical things or project structure or, I don't know, infrastructure. Not at all. We're splitting those by business transaction. It's a business requirement. If business requires this, so you know that, yes, sorry, it may be not like very clear name like document signing, but you need to implement that what business requires, right? So this thing. Second thing, of course, data redundancy avoidance. So if you see that in your services you're trying to duplicate data, might be you're doing something wrong. So keep in mind. So this rule helps us to understand. And actually, first or the second rule, like, clicked for many of our guys, and they said, okay, now I see what you mean, right? So, and of course, many other rules, you can name it. So, yeah, that was of example. So how we are trying to communicate with each other a lot, to debate something, sometimes screaming at each other, but mostly not, right? And for those debates, shared whiteboards is a very crucial thing too, right? Because when you're explaining remotely, you just make an assumption that both sides understood in the same way, but not at all, as always, right? So when you draw something, it's more easy to understand the same way. And yeah, we have quite challenges here because remote shared whiteboards is not so easy thing, but at least we can we're just using cameras to film our boards, and it's quite effective thing. Yeah, but not so easy. Okay, so I came to conclusion because I need to conclude something, right? So first of all, we're not the God here. We're not the super team here. We're just finding our way as we are all, right? So, and this story was, and this presentation was like, try to tell you our story, right? And what is maintainable code? It's a simple code. The simplest code is most maintainable code, right? But the challenge is that simple code to write not so easy. So yeah, root problem, inconsistent interpretation. So we need communication to align that interpretation, right? With cross-border teams. And I showed you what tricks we use. And yeah, I would say that we're quite successful at this, but there are many places to make it more perfect or better. So that's it. Thank you for listening.